While planning for Walk the Cross this September, we were looking for a venue to have Mass on the 14th of September. And one of the places we thought we might have Mass in was St. Saviour's in Dublin, the Dominican church. So I sent off an email to them and they said, well, unfortunately, the priest won't be around on the 14th because they will have new novices entering. Obviously, that's a good reason not to be present in Dublin on that day, because they have novices entering in Cork on that day. And just something that came to me. I think the Dominicans, they've inspired the Catholic imagination this year in Ireland. They've been celebrating their 800th anniversary. They have been, holding different events across Ireland, blogging and on their social media about the history of the Dominicans. Little pieces of history, what happened during their course of their years, and the different foundations, the different places where they were resident, and so forth. Certainly not sitting back and saying, woe to us, nobody wants to join us, we've no vocations, poor us, we're dying, we'll sell off everything and just fade off in history. They've stood up and, really done a lot of work, in my opinion, which, has captured the imagination across Ireland. So, a little ask for you. And again, there's nobody that's paying me for this, I'm or anything like this. But since there are novices entering on the 14th of September, why not send a postcard or a card to their novitiate in Cork? I'll put the address in the comments below. I'll pin the address below. Send a card to the novices saying, we're praying for you. Well done for entering. Just send them, a box of chocolates or some biscuits or something like that. A small token that, we're there praying for them the day that they enter the novitiate. And I do encourage men, if you're interested in the priesthood, don't let the idea sit there. Oh, I'm interested. Try it. Do a year. If you're young, and you're interested in the priesthood, maybe try out the Dominicans. If it's not for you, try something else. And at any age, you can try out for the priesthood. Even you try out for the diocesan priesthood. There's a lot of young diocesan priests being ordained at the moment. Very good, very thorough, love the priesthood. Have a heart for Christ, for His church, for ministry. There's a lot of happening around Ireland, and we have to encourage the next generation. Some people are afraid to take the leap, of going into a religious order or going into a seminary, afraid that it won't work out for them, and that, oh, what if it's not for me? You could do, believe me, a year in a novitiate or a year in a seminary will stand to you for the rest of your life. You could do a lot worse, I'm telling you. And I know Dominicans that have gone in and done the novitiate and it hasn't been for them, and they've come out and they've spoken very positively about their experience. Look, you've tried it out. You test your vocation. That's what the church has these novitiates for. This, to test out your vocation, to live in community. I highly, highly, highly encourage people to go to their retreats. And the Dominicans, they have retreats all across the year, where you can go and test it out and go into the community. Why am I saying this? Well, I'm just going to give you a very curious story. We went on a pilgrimage to Medjugorje 2 years ago, and it was Father Colin Mannion, and he's the vocational director for Ireland for the Dominicans. He was the he was the priest on the pilgrimage. But there was a family there. There were parents of one of the Dominicans in formation. They were also on the pilgrimage. And they spent the whole time during the pilgrimage talking about their son and how he likes the Dominicans and how he's very happy with them and so forth. And I said, they sold it really to me. And I do think it's important to hear how families think about them. And, if if so many men are going in there and they're happy with their vocation, they're happy with the community, they're happy with the formation, there's something to be said for that, I mean, you're never going to find the perfect community. So, perfection doesn't exist in any human environment. But we also have to encourage communities that are doing well and that are, making an effort. And let's face it, the Dominicans have made an effort. They really have. The perfection isn't there, but they have honestly made an effort to transform their future in a way, in a very good way, not polarizing, there's a lot of polarization in the church, but with love for the church, with love for the Irish church and so forth. So that's why I encourage people, go in, check them out, go for a weekend. If it's not for you and you're still interested in the priesthood, well, you can always go and experience somewhere else, Try out the Home of the Mother if you're interested in that. There was 20 young men, as far as I'm aware, in Spain when I visited them. You have the Missionaries of the Holy Eucharist in France, Father Michael Donnelly. There's a few Irish men in France now, a few Irish priests, and you had the priest that was just ordained up in Fintona. So I mean, there's a lot happening in Ireland. But anyway, not to go on too long. Write a letter to the novices that are entering in Cork on the 14th of September. Just say, encourage them. We're praying for you. So when the novices arrive there, they'll have, a few dozen letters to read out. Send them on a box of chocolates or something like that, and just encourage them and that we're praying for them. And look, if it's not their vocation, at least they made a try for it. And if it is their vocation, well, what better than to be part of the next 200 years. So when they do their documentary in 200 years about the 1,000 years of the Dominicans in Ireland, they'll remember back to 2024 and the Dominicans that entered and the history that's going to be written. I as I said, you cannot fault them for their, get up and go, like, not sitting back and letting their congregation die, letting their order die, letting their churches die out. They try their best. And I really do think, they're doing an incredible amount of work with young people, with university students. And that's really key. That's really important. And that's what we need. We need people like that are that have a good formation, that are able to go out and form and, give retreats, give talks and so forth. Just giving you a plug for that. So encourage the Dominican novices now in September. Send them a little postcard. I don't know how many are entering or what's their names, but just encourage them now in September, as they begin on this journey, and know that we're praying for them, and keep them in your prayers, and others. I don't, as I said, I'm just giving this block because they happened to cross my path on that Medjugorje pilgrimage, both Father Colum and the parents of one of the brothers that are in there, and the positivity, and we need to encourage. Anyway, God bless you. Take care. Bye bye.